Richmond City School Board meeting to order Monday, August 21st. Madam Clerk.
The board members who are present, please respond. Ms. Moore. Here. Mr. Barlow. Ms. Mans-Ermer.
Here.
Mr. Young.
Here.
Ms. Cosby.
Here.
Ms. Carter. Ms. Owen.
Here.
Dr. Sapini.
Here.
Ms. Page.
Here.
Have a floor, Madam Chair. Is anyone here who needs interpretive?
Who keeps turning them off?
Thank you. Next item.
The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
May be seated.
The next item is 1.03, adoption of the agenda, and I have one amendment, and that is to add receipt for action, a resolution regarding the education compact, and I believe you're going to add that to the beginning of your meeting, Madam Chair.
Yes. What is the board's pleasure?
I move that we amend the agenda to add approving the compact resolution as soon as we finish adopting the agenda.
It's been moved by Ms. Owen and seconded by Ms. Mans-Ermer to amend the agenda as received. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing that we have none, the agenda has been adopted, amended as received. Next item.
Madam Chair, I believe Ms. Owen should make a motion to do that. That will be the next item. The resolution reads, whereas by resolution adopted January 3rd, 2017, the School Board of the City of Richmond expressed its support for the proposed development of an education compact among all Richmond elected officials as a shared framework for establishing goals, metrics for success and accountability, and a shared strategy for identifying and meeting the needs of the school divisions, students and families inside and outside of the classroom. And whereas by a letter dated February 16, 2017, addressed to the members of the council and the members of the school board of the city of Richmond, the mayor of the city of Richmond proposed a draft education compact calling for a shared commitment to organizational collaboration, transformational improvement in academic progress, and improving the lives of children outside of the classroom through support services and poverty reduction, and development of a resource strategy allowing the city and the school division to achieve these shared goals. And whereas the school board now desires to express its support for the first stage of an education compact, now therefore be it resolved by the school board of the city of Richmond that the school board expresses its support for the first stage of an education compact that provides for all of the following: a meeting recorded by audio-visual means and posted on the internet with meeting summaries in English and Spanish, held each quarter between the council and the school board concerning issues of mutual concern with respect to the education needs and other needs of children and families in Richmond, attended by the mayor and the superintendent, as well as appropriate administrative staff from the city and the school division. An advisory education compact team that is established by the mayor in accordance with Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 2 of the Code of the City of Richmond, 2015 as amended, holds a monthly meeting after 5 p.m. that is recorded by audio-visual means and posted on the internet with meeting summaries in English and Spanish, and consists of 3 members of the City Council appointed by the Council, 3 members of the School Board appointed by the School Board, 2 members of the Administrative Leadership of the City appointed by the Mayor, 2 members of the Administrative Leadership of the School Division appointed by the Superintendent, up to 6 members representing the state government and the philanthropic, nonprofit, civic, and academic communities of the city appointed by the Mayor with the consent of the Council and the School Board, up to 6 members who are parents of students in the school division, teachers or staff members employed by the school board, or students in the school division appointed by the school board. A regular meeting between representatives of city agencies whose operations directly affect children and families, and representatives of the school division to facilitate improved communication, to identify opportunities for productive collaboration, and to implement various projects and initiatives.
Need a motion? Second?
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Sapini and seconded by Ms. Owen to adopt the resolution regarding the education compact. Any discussion? Mr. Young?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm gladly to read this, and like the Mayor referenced a minute ago, I look forward to inclusion of a framework, developing a framework pertinent to accountability metrics, and I'm excited about the opportunity there too. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Manzur?
Similar to the conversation, sorry, that City Council had around dates, we want to set some similar.
That's next. I'm going to bring that up.
Right.
Any other comments regarding the education compact? So for public consumption, we had our joint meeting, our second joint meeting with City Council, the Mayor, along with school board members, to support the resolution for the education compact. We have reviewed this document several times, City Council, as well as receiving input from the public. And the public's input was very valuable, and it was demonstrated in the document. So the education compact, it creates the framework for the 3 bodies to work together along with public input to establish shared goals, and again, receiving input from the public. And more importantly, develop a funding plan to address our facility issues in the district, which is long overdue. So we are looking forward to the next step in this process. So as stated in the 5 o'clock meeting, so for board members, if we can submit dates to the clerk, quarterly dates, also participation for members for the Children's Cabinet, and also public participation for the Education Compact by October 2nd. And hopefully that will give us enough time to properly vet this process so that we can move forward. So again, provide quarterly dates names for participation on the children's cabinet, and names for participation for the education compact by October 2nd. And remember, we want our participation to be true representation of our school district. So call the question.
Motion was made by Dr. Sapini and seconded by Ms. Owen to approve the resolution regarding the education compact in school.
Yes.
Ms. Vince Early.
Yes.
Mr. Young. Ms. Cosby.
Yes.
Dr. Sapini.
Yes.
Ms. Owen.
Yes.
Ms. Page.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. The next item on the agenda is recognitions. We have one recognition this evening.
Do we have the family of Kevin Wilson here tonight? I'm sorry, Kevin Sneed.
This certificate of recognition is awarded to Kevin Sneed, a former Richmond Public School student recently drafted into the NFL. He was a student in Richmond Public Schools in 2011. It's signed by Ms. Dawn Page, school board chairman, and our former superintendent. Signature is signed.
Kevin Sneed here, three generations, 4 generations. Wow. Someone like to speak?
We're happy tonight to be able to receive the certificate that you are rewarding Kevin and his family. We have a great fond for the school, especially for the high school student that we graduated from. It's just a kind of example of can any good things come out of RPS, and I say yes. And this is indicative of some of the RPS is very good and can do. So on behalf of the family, we are gracious and thank you and to receive this certificate and Kevin's absence. He is recuperating. He is now he's living in Jackson. However, he is right now in therapy because they have him on leave. But he certainly thanks you, and we are glad to be here.
And I'd just like to share my connection with Kevin Sneed. His mom was our cheerleader mascot when I was a cheerleader for George Jefferson Human Act. Uncle, former teacher, so we go way back. Well, congratulations on this honor and Kevin. Thank you so much. speaker can come forward, and if you're speaking as an individual, you have 3 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of an organization, you have 5 minutes. And as you come forward, sign in and please state your name.
Mr. Roderick Bullock.
Good evening. My name is Roderick Bullock. I signed up on behalf of the Richmond NAACP branch, but we got it taken care of. It was more or less the attendance of the individuals that came to the superintendent search. It was like near to done. Like when we came for our session with the NAACP, which we had our own session, it was maybe 3 people, 4 people, something like that. And the thing is that we couldn't understand why it wasn't conveyed to the public about the whole search committee. And on that same day, we went to Henderson. It was like just to stand out and Ashley Brown, the 3 of us that came to Henderson. And it was maybe like 2 at Huguenot that same day, which was abysmal, and I was kind of surprised to see that no one was told about it. A lot of people said they didn't have a clue that this was going on, or I don't know what the issue was, but it was real to know. So I was just bringing that to your attention. The next time you have that, please let the public know. And the public is not getting that information out. So I think that whoever is in charge needs to do a better job. I know at one time, Delegate Bourne, when he was in school board, he had conveyed to make sure that whoever, I forgot, he told the individual from the school board to advertise in the Richmond Free Press. So I don't know if it was advertising the Free Press or not about the search committee. So I think it was over in the Richmond Times Dispatch. It just was not advertised like it should have. I think 3 people was ashamed of it. You know, my buddy over there, we sure put in athletics when we got the chance. So we definitely let the committee know about athletics not being a part of the search, which is search committee, which is 40% of Richmond Public Schools problem. And I think if you just get a consensus from the parents that's in my community and other communities, they want that in our communities is athletics. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other members in the audience that would like to come forward at this time? if you're planning to speak, if you will come down and line up, we would appreciate that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Christina Walsh, and I'm a proud parent of John Rattler Walsh, who will be attending Thomas Jefferson High School this coming fall. Our family is eager to become part of the Thomas Jefferson High School and Richmond Public City School community. My husband John is currently the operations manager for Property Maintenance Code Enforcement Division of the Planning and Development Review for the City of Richmond, and I'm a former zoning officer for the City of Richmond. As parents of a high school student, the positive changes we have seen since the new administration has taken office are encouraging and exciting, which is why we have chosen to enroll our child into Thomas Jefferson. To give you a bit of a background, my son John went to a private school last year and was a student athlete that played for junior varsity and varsity. While attending the private school, we noticed that he was struggling to keep up with a rigorous schedule that included 8 classes every day, with 2+ hours of homework on a nightly basis. It was not that my son was not intelligent enough to meet these demands, it was that he suffers from ADD. No consideration was given to his condition, and they did not even recognize the fact that he had a 504 while attending private or public school, As concerned parents, we approached the administration, being met with, if he can't handle it, then maybe he shouldn't be here. As you can imagine, the major blow to my son's confidence was irreversible. As a family, we decided that we could no longer return to that private school, to which we decided that we would take advantage of the public school system that was available to us, which leads me to my current situation. Previously stated, my son was on a 7-point grading scale, is being judged by a 7-point grading scale. He qualifies for the LS, Virginia High School League requirements. I have been informed by Dr. Holt that this school board said that he cannot participate this year after he has played in a scrimmage and practiced with the team. I'm asking for reconsideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, school board. My name is Camilla Smith, and I'm here to talk about the overall renovation, the building itself. I would like to open a club, but first let me give you a little bit of background about me. I've been an overall bear at heart. I've been in Richmond since '98, and when me and my family relocated to the south side, Oak Grove was one of the first schools my kids attended. I have 4 kids, and 2 of them graduated from Oak Grove Bellmead, and my baby is in the 5th grade now, and he will be graduating this year. I've always been active in the school and in the community. I live in the Oak Grove community, and I've been a part of this school. I've been involved in the Oak Grove PTA as president, vice president, and secretary. I've also worked with Bob Albright to beautify the new school, Oak Grove Bellmead, and the new center that they built. Bellevue has always been my dream to open a Boys and Girls Club. But seeing the community needs, my vision of Club U can be for everyone. We will have daycare for the babies, Club U for my school-age kids, and adult center for the elderly. This will be a place where they can enjoy new experiences and have the services they need in one building. The daycare center will be for the ages infant to 4 years old. This will be for the parents and the children. I'm sorry. Nutrition, parenting classes, and trying to make family life a little better. Parents who work and go to school, we will be there to assist. Club U will be a place for ages 5 to 18 who can have positive people showing and teaching them positive things so they can become positive and productive citizens. And thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Jones of the JAW Foundation. The JAW stands for TJ Human John Marshall Armstrong of all our city high schools. We had a great program in the city center, which brought a lot of young men together. Great turnout and great feedback from them. We would like to continue with the young ladies to set a new standard for the city. As the young lady spoke, the work that you've done so far has been excellent. The last thing I would give you this evening, we got 5 city high schools. I know some of you may not be sports people, but I would advise you to just to take one evening and just go to a football game. It's not just the game that you're going to witness. You're going to see the cheerleaders, the bands, the crowd, the people, and how they feel about their school and how they not feel about their school. So if you could, just maybe not this week. The first week starts Friday. First opening football game is Friday. But you got 10 weeks. So if you could, just 1 week maybe, or if you could, just take an evening, a Friday evening, maybe take your family out and just witness what we witness. And I truly believe you'll have a different outlook on sports.
Thank you. Do we have any others who would like to come forward? If not, that concludes our public information period. Next item.
The next item is item 4, academic improvement items. 4.01, receiving graduation rates in SOL schools, and Madam Chair, the board is going to have to vote down as a presentation.
Good evening, Chairman Page, Vice Chair Dr. Spanini, and school board members. I'm Vicki Oakley, and I'm serving as the interim Chief Academic Officer during this transition period. Mr. Krantz has asked me to share with you a little bit about the results that came out from VDOE last week and about the plan that the Cabinet has devised to ensure academic achievement for all students. I'm not going to belabor these results. These are preliminary results, and you can see that the English result in 15-16 was 60. This, from the past school year, the score was 58 with a decrease of 2. Writing is the only area in which Richmond Public Schools saw growth. In 15-16, writing was at 45. 16-17, it's at 53, and that's 8-point growth. History and social studies is flat. It was 60 in both years. Mathematics was at 58 in 15-16 and went to 54, which is a decrease of 4. Science went from 64 to 59, which is a decrease of 5. I'm going to discuss with you in a minute the plan to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Now, we know these scores are low. That's all that we can say, they're low. They don't meet the state average, and our students deserve the best, and they deserve for us to provide them the best academic program possible. Formal accreditation standards will come out mid-September. The accreditation of the schools, all 44 of them. At that point, Mr. Krantz and his team will provide you with school-by-school data and the accreditation status and individual results and areas for improvement by those schools. Today, we're going to talk broadly about expectations around academic growth. As you know, we're under a memorandum of understanding from the Department of Education due to the division-wide review that was conducted last year. The memorandum of understanding was approved by the Virginia Board on July 27th this school year. We are in the process of developing an action plan that will be very detailed around the 5 goals of the memorandum of understanding, and that corrective action plan should be completed and shared by November of this school year. VDOE is a partner in our academic pathway to success. And so to date, they have provided training at our Leadership Institute. They will train our principals and selected teacher leaders this year. And they are currently providing in the next 2 weeks technical assistance around monitoring the graduation cohort. We must get a structure in place to track our students from when they leave us in 8th grade all the way through 12th grade to ensure our graduation rate increases. So when we look at the results for Richmond Public Schools, the preliminary results, and through the academic review, this is our focus this school year. This may seem simple, but we must ensure academic alignment. With no alignment, scores won't increase. There's a disconnect. And so we are going to focus on core instruction, what happens bell to bell in classrooms. Your 2-hour language arts block, your 90-minute history class. We must have that aligned before we start pulling students out for interventions or other supports. Because your scores are low, that shows that you have a disconnect. We have a disconnect in core instruction. So we're going to focus on the written curriculum, which is lesson planning, and developing lessons that are aligned with the right content and cognitive level. We're going to go in. Taught curriculum is the execution in the classroom. Appropriate instruction, strategies for children to meet their needs, differentiation of instruction, and principals and the administrative team from central office will be in schools to support this. This is a team approach. And then the tested curriculum, we need to ensure that we support our teachers and our principals in developing aligned assessments. I don't mean a test with 50 questions. I mean 5 questions that dipstick whether or not the students got it that day, so I can determine as the teacher, do I move on or do I regroup and reteach? And we need help with that because our assessments are not aligned at the current time. We need progress monitoring throughout the year, and then we'll be able to provide updates to the board and the public on our progress. We're asking principals and administrators from the central office to just think about these 4 questions as we open school and we begin this process. How can I create structures to support curriculum alignment with the principal? What can they do in their building to ensure that teachers have planning time, that they have a structure for monitoring lesson plans? Number 2 is how can I ensure the written curriculum in my school is aligned in content and cognition? They have to review lesson plans and they have to support teachers to do that. This is not an I gotcha, this is how can I make the plans better to meet the needs of the students in our schools. And what is your process? You know, as a principal, I surely don't want to tell a teacher after they've taught the lesson that it might need some tweaking. I want to help them up front to ensure that the lesson plan is solid. And we have great teachers and we have great administrators, but we need to make sure that the process is clean and everybody understands how it works. How will we monitor the curriculum to ensure alignment? The only way to do that is to go visit classrooms, right? We're going to conduct inter-rater reliability walkthroughs. That means groups of people are going to observe in classrooms to ensure alignment and to support people, to support the teachers and the principals in those schools. We're also going to do peer observations so teachers can learn from each other their best practices. And what tools can be used to ensure assessments are on the right track? We're going to work collaboratively with school teams to develop aligned assessments. It's I don't believe anybody sets up to not do a great job, so we want to help teachers make sure that the assessments are aligned to the rigor of the test, to the rigor of what is expected on the standards. So last year, Richmond Public Schools adopted this philosophy of continuous improvement. It is research-based and well-defined. Data-wise is a process in which you use to understand the data and how everybody in the district will use that process to analyze data. Every school will write a school progress plan, and every school will hold professional learning communities. That means empowering teachers and principals. You know, the answer's in the schoolhouse. We have solid administrators, we have outstanding teachers, but they have lots of challenges. And so by creating professional learning communities, they can support each other, and they can drive their bus to success, so to speak. We need to build their capacity, but build it together with them. So I'm not going to belabor this, but this is the data-wise process. It's out of Harvard. Many school systems use it. And what we need to do is have everybody in the district, from the superintendent down, learn the process so that when we share data with you and we share data with the public, we're all sharing it so we all understand what is the metrics and what's expected. And so there is prepare, inquire, and act. And this year, staff members are being trained. They received this training during leadership and will continue to receive training throughout the year on data-wise. Last year, you all adopted the school progress plan, which is the school improvement plan. All 44 schools must have one. Your schools that are sanctioned by the state are required to have one. And it is your plan. It is the plan that each school develops through a root cause analysis to determine what do I need to do at Oak Grove that may be different than what I need to do at TJ. So the teams at the school, along with central support, need to review the data and determine specific needs for the schools, and they should be individualized. The school progress plan is just the vehicle where objectives are written and monitored throughout the school year. And the focus is on all 4 core areas: reading, math, social studies, science, and then climate. I haven't been in RPS in 3 years, but as I look at the discipline data, we must improve culture and climate. So one part of the school progress plan is around culture and climate. We must have a school that is inviting for teachers and students to learn. And then, as I said before, professional learning communities, this is where the work is done. This is where teachers work during common planning time to write lesson plans, to review lesson plans with their colleagues, to review with their peers, and the folks in downtown will also be supporting them. We're trying to build human capacity in our principals and teachers. We're focusing on instructional delivery and alignment. And we also, though, will also look at the basic wraparound services for students, because our children are needy in many ways, and we need to ensure that they receive wraparound services so that then we're able to provide the best instruction that they deserve. So far this year, supports have been given at the Leadership Institute, and I'd like just to say Mr. Krantz gave a wonderful opening charge to all of the administrators around this instructional focus and the need to work as a team and the need to put together organizational structures for success. We trained about 200 plus new teachers last week. They're excited, and they received lots of curriculum information, expectations, and we taught them how to do aligned lessons and how to set up their classrooms, how to deal with discipline issues. But we need to be out there to support them. But they are excited and ready to go, because we want those same 200 people to be employed by us next year. We don't want to have to keep training and training. And we have citywide professional development on the 29th and the 30th. The academic service team, along with exceptional ed, has been working extremely hard to provide an array of trainings. There are 8 trainings. There's 4 trainings on the 29th sessions and 4 sessions on the 30th. So teachers can select 8 sessions, There are a few that are required, but other than that, they're open to their choice and to their expertise. And so those trainings will take place on the 29th and 30th. So you're probably sitting there, so what's new or something? We have created design teams of success. We know principals run their building, they have great expertise. Running a building is a challenge. I was one for a long time, and it's the greatest job, but it's a hard job. And you've got all the operational things to do, you have the community, but your most important is instruction. And so we are creating design teams that will comprise of central office staff. There will be a facilitator from central office, but the principal will lead the team in their building. They will be content experts on that team. They will support the leadership of the school. They will collaboratively review data and assess to ensure, and they will observe in classrooms because, if a teacher needs help, we want to help them up front and early, right? So if there's a need for support, we want to provide that support. And so the teams will be tiered. We have 44 schools. We've tiered them based on need. The teams will have, there'll be 16 leaders from central office with a variety of content specialists on each team. And there'll be folks from the Department of Instruction, Special Ed, and FACE, because we're also going to meet wraparound service needs. We are there to support the alignment of the written, taught, and tested curriculum. These teams will be functioning the second week of school. We'll be going out once a week to all of the schools. So if I have 7 schools in my team will go out to 7 schools every week for the first 6 weeks of school, because we want to support the principal. So if there's a need for HR, we'll immediately come back and fix that. If there's a need from plant services, we'll know that too. But we'll also be able to go into classrooms, do observations, ensure that they are off to an outstanding start. We're setting up to win. And then after the 6 weeks, the team and I will review the data, and then we'll determine, we're still going out to schools, but we'll rank order schools and decide who, some schools will get us every week, some schools will get us every 2 weeks, some schools will get us monthly. And that's only as a support. And principals want that, and it's part of your corrective action plan to provide support to schools. And so this is our plan to do that. It will take time, but we are committed to doing that, and we are absolutely positive that with the focus on the written, taught, and tested curriculum, we will see the number of accredited schools increase at the end of next school year, this school year. And we will also be able to progress monitor each school. So if you're a school that has a 25 this year in the subject area, I've done this a long time, they're not getting the 75 next year, but they surely can get a 15 to 20 point gain. We're expecting it, we're going to support it, and we're going to make that happen. And please know that, because it's hard if you're one of those schools that's so low. I happened to run a school like that once, and when somebody said, well, Ms. Oakley, you have a 5, can you get to 75 by next year? No, sir, but I can surely get to 35 or 40. So we're going to be, with these folks over here, my colleagues on the side, will be progress monitoring and goal setting with schools to ensure where they're going to be at the end of the school year. We're not leaving anything up to surprises. And so this is our overall plan, and we will provide you with more in-depth information once the scores are out and we've analyzed them a little more. Yes, ma'am? Yes. Yes, ma'am, it's out of Harvard. It's evidence-based. Many school systems use it. I'll get back to you and I'll get back to you with a list of schools that use it. Yes, ma'am. So when a teacher creates a lesson plan, right, we have an objective to teach, and we know it needs to be taught. You have certain content that needs to be taught and certain cognitive level that needs to be taught. That's what we're looking for. The teacher has the ability to add their own spin on the lesson, their own expertise, and you have some schools that have very high scores when you look at that. So those schools will need more help with tiered interventions, but we have to ensure alignment across the board because the scores are so low. I don't think we're going to come down from the top, but I think we're going to work collaboratively with principals because that's what teachers work for, right? And I think with support, teachers want to know what else I can do. Nobody wants to get a score of 35 from their classroom. And so I think we have to sell it that way, and the fact that, we know you work hard. I don't doubt any teacher not working hard. But we want to work smarter in this process and let us show you how to tweak it, how to move just a little bit farther on that continuum. So we'll be mindful of that, and I understand what you mean. So I think you have pockets of alignment, and you have schools where teachers know how to unpack the standards. But you also have areas where teachers do not. And so I think part of this is a structure that you're putting in place. So if I have a school and 10 teachers know how to write aligned lessons, because the curriculum is aligned. It's how you unpack it, how you teach it to ensure alignment. Okay, the curriculum has been revised by Mr. Rhodes' department, and has been looked at. It is aligned, but it's how you use those tools. And so we need to look at each school and ensure, so if there are 20 teachers and 10 don't need additional help, we need to help them. Now, you have pockets, and then you have some schools where you have all new teachers, people that do not understand alignment. That's when you get a score of a 15 or a 20. You also have other issues around culture and climate there, but alignment also has to be monitored by principals. I'm not saying they're not monitoring, but we have to get in classrooms to see what is happening to ensure that children are getting the most appropriate education. And so I think that when these teams go out, I know when these teams go out, we're going to be looking at the capacity of each teacher in that building and building that capacity. You have pockets, but you don't have it overall. Right. Let's be honest, since I've only been here 4 weeks, we haven't made a total decision. What we're talking about is a dipstick of assessments. So I teach comprehension skill, and I'm the teacher. And I want to make sure my students know that. And I do a small assessment. We need to make sure that those small assessments of 4 or 5 questions are also aligned at the rigor of the test. Because a lot of times the assessments are not at the right rigor level. So they've taught main idea, but they have not tested it the way that it is going to be tested on the SOL. And so we have not decided district-wise because I said we needed to look at the data a little bit. So we will do NWEA, which is an assessment, and the state sanctions that assessment at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, and the end of the year for reading and mathematics. We have not decided as a district to do what I think you're referring to as like 9-week assessments. We are looking to see other ways in which we can ensure that we are progress monitoring along the way, because we don't want to over-test our children. Is that what you're asking? And so, no. They do. So, right. That's right. Right. So we are determining within the next 2 to 3 weeks whether or not we're going to do that or a combination of benchmarks and small formative assessments along the way.
I have heard from a number of teachers that feel overwhelmed currently by the burden of lesson plans and then writing assessments, and the paperwork is already very challenging to manage and today, especially if there's an additional requirement like this might be school or there's an additional layer or whatever they have to incorporate within their lesson plans. I'm wondering what your perspective is on that and how we can make sure that we're not saddling our teachers with so much paperwork that they can't actually do their job.
And so I agree with you. And I think that the design team, when they go out, we've asked principals to develop their lesson planning process and work with their teams to develop that. You know, schools have common planning time. They also have time after school for their professional learning communities, as well as, what is it, gentlemen, 90 minutes a week built in. And so we need to use that time, and we need to not ask them to collect data any other way but in their school improvement plan. And so we're going to look at how we can collectively minimize that paperwork. But I will say, though, no lesson plan, no great teaching. You have to have a plan. I had to prepare for you today. You want your teachers to prepare for students, but we want to do it in a collective manner so that they're not overwhelmed. I don't want them to spend all day Sunday writing lesson plans, or a principal spending all day Sunday reviewing them. And so that's one of the reasons the design teams were formed, so we can help them look at those processes and procedures. But we do have to have lesson plans, and we do have to have the data, but we will. And so a school like a Bedford or an IB school, they're not accredited yet. So we still have to help them with alignment, but we will work at how their specialty programs like IB or the arts is integrated into those plans. Yes, ma'am. It won't be an add-on. Very nice. Good thing.
What is the goal of the package? Because I know the state staggered.
So for English and writing is a combined score when the state puts it out, and it needs to be at 75. Your other 3 content areas need to be at 70. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Mediation. So have we developed a plan to support those students who need that extra support so that they can get to the next level?
Right. We are developing it, but we took a breath to look at the data and to ensure that we have the right children being pulled out for remediation. When you have a score of a 10 in a classroom, the lesson needs to be retaught. Nobody got it, so there's no point in pulling anybody out for remediation. You see what? So there are some schools where we need to focus more on the core. There are other schools, when you see the individual scores, where we will do interventions. We'll do interventions in all schools, but we want to ensure that we have tiered interventions. So there's the regular instruction that happens during the core instruction, where the teacher differentiates, right, in her classroom. Then there are tier 2 and tier 3 interventions where we pull out children who need additional assistance and help, or we push in. And so we are looking, with my friends over in the corner there, the list of tiered interventions, because to be honest, you have a lot. And you can't support a lot. You need to have several that are good and monitor those. And so we are in the process of looking at all the interventions that are offered in RPS, and then we're going to streamline them. So there'll be a variety of interventions at tier 2 and tier 3, but there'll be ones that can be supported by the district, and then we'll be able to provide you with the data and how effective each intervention is. So we're moving that way, but we asked principals for the first month of school to focus on core instruction in their classroom, rituals and routines and expectations, and then we will pull out and devise the intervention plans. But yes, ma'am, there will be intervention plans.
One strategy has been to incorporate the tutors.
Yes, ma'am.
And normally that was in place in October.
Yes, ma'am.
But I noticed in
There-
the past, it started much later or not at all.
So they will start. The team and I will look. We usually use Title I funds for that to place tutors, but we want to make sure that we know which children need to be remediated, how often they need to be remediated, and we want to be able to chart the effectiveness of the tutor, because the teaching that happens during the core is what's the most important. The tutor is there to support and enhance. But we will work Ms. Page at getting them out there by mid-October or the end of October at the latest.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
As an update to what Ms. Oakley just presented, the data that we're using is very preliminary. We won't get final numbers until sometime the latter part of September. At that point in time, we'll update this presentation and show you school by school the data, as well as the graduation rate. We'll be able to show you how we've done in our first 4 weeks of the school year, where we may be making some changes at that point. But that's why we haven't given you school by school, because it's so preliminary right now that it can change dramatically between now and the end of the year. Okay? Thank you.
Next item.
Next item is 4.02, receiving update on George Mason Elementary School.
We're moving forward very well at George Mason. Our intent is to be finished by the 24th. At that point, the school has partnered with volunteers that it is amazing the amount of community outpouring that's come to that school asking to help. They're working with our facilities team, as we do with other volunteer-related projects. And basically what they're going to try to do is do some painting inside of the hallways, try to brighten up the school through their colors, do some things with some murals, and make it a true community-related project. The facilities team will accompany them on during the project, and it may take 2 days and could go into 3. And we'll ensure that we get everything done that we need to get done. But right now, we're feeling, we're seeing changes in the restrooms, we're seeing the odors are leaving, we're seeing, it's not going to be a brand new building. It's not going to be like, for example, Overby is, where we're taking everything out and then coming back in. But it is making a significant difference to that school, and we should have that completed this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item is item 5, the board action items. 5.01, receive for action the policy revisions for bylaws, community relations, instruction, auxiliary services, personnel, and student sections of the personnel policy.
Just as a comment, board members, you received the first read of the policy revisions for the sections noted during your first July meeting, I believe it was the first July meeting, sorry. And so we set as a target date for any questions or comments, July 31st. I haven't received any questions or comments or any additional revisions since between that time, and the policies are presented here for the second reading and approval for tonight. For the public's consumption, there were changes made in the sections noted, the bylaws, community relations, instruction, auxiliary services, and personnel and students. Some of the changes were the conflicts of interest, school board meetings, agenda preparation and dissemination, meeting and recordings of board minutes, several other board bylaw policies. Our visitors policy is proposed to be updated, community use of school facilities, instructional goals and objectives, several other policy sections and the instruction section with respect to driver's ed and public charter schools, counseling programs, several sections in your personnel section, new policy related to conflicts of interest for school employees, as well as several sections that were modified in your student section.
Need a motion?
I move that we adopt these policy changes.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Owen and seconded by Ms. Erb to receive the action, the policy revisions for bylaws, community relations, instruction, auxiliary services, personnel, and students. Any discussion? Call the question?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. Ms. Bowman?
Yes.
Dr. Safi? Mrs. Penny?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Next item is 5.02, receiving action approving and committee for potential uses of donated property.
So board members, this is the building Project ACE donated by Altria for the use of that facility. This has been, I guess, waiting to address it, to have a discussion, to create the ad hoc committee to start discussing the potential use of the donated property. I know we have talked about possible use of career technical education, school board offices. I think the possibilities are endless. So tonight, I'd like to create an ad hoc committee for the potential use of the donated property. And also, we need to schedule a tour of the property, because I don't I will reach out to individuals to see their, interest in serving on the ad hoc committee. Next item. Any motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Young and seconded by Ms. Owen to receive the action for the quick claim deed for overall elementary school. Any discussion? Call the question?
Yes.
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 Yes. Next item.
Vacancies right now, we're at 115 positions, which is slightly up. We've had ELL students in the South, and so there's a need for us to have added some teachers, which has caused that slight increase. We are seeing with personnel, since we had the presentation as to the board previously, we've got everybody that's inside HR working together as a team. So part of that team is addressing recruitment and returning phone calls, with one group focused on elementary, another group focused on the secondary, and the third group focused on our special education group. We've also got a group that's focused on getting all the licensure issues that we need to get resolved, so we have personnel on board. We've identified a strong subpool that the principals will begin identifying subs in the event that we don't have everybody on board. We've also run a master list of everybody that had left the district, so it's not just retired, we could resign. In the last 3 years, it had the subject they taught, the areas of expertise, so that they give us a library that if people have retired, we can call them and ask them if they'd like to come back to the district under VRS rules and help us while we're finding a permanent solution for that particular platform. My point is, everybody that's on the whole district is focused on trying to make sure that we've got the best person qualified inside the classroom. Now, compared to where we were a year ago with this digging, a year ago at this time we were at 75, so we're right now 40, yeah, I did my math right, 40 higher than we were. And when we started the year, we were at about 47 positions, so that's where we're striving. Offers are out, they're making offers, HR is making offers literally every single day, and so we expect that number to continue to whittle down from there.
Mr. Young?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Krantz, I am pleased that our new leader in HR has more than 3 decades of experience, particularly in school systems, and I'm excited for what Mark can do pertinent to HR and reducing those vacancies with top talent people.
So,
just want to get back to the middle sort of third week of August. Very confident in success and pleased with his hire.
he's got 37 years of experience, all within K-12 environments, so it brings a wealth of knowledge to the table, and he's already done some amazing things for us, just in a short time with us.
Ms. Mansfield?
Mr. Grant, you said there was 115 positions. Is that teachers or across the board?
That's just teachers. That's
Just teachers?
Yes, ma'am.
And how many positions got added?
10 total.
Those are all,
Those are related to growth primarily, yes, ma'am.
Ms. Cosby?
Thank you, Mr. Prince, for the report. You mentioned this 115, these represent the teacher vacancies only, so how many across the board? How many vacancies are we looking at in other areas?
We're about right now 170 to 175. On our bus drivers, we have all our contract drivers in place. We can man each one of our routes. Generally, that's the one that I worry the most about, that we have enough drivers. What we're trying to do there is get some additional subs so that when we have illnesses and sicknesses, so we're about where we were a year ago. Inside our school nutrition group, we're right at about 40 positions that we're looking for. They've interviewed, they're evaluating their interviews and continuing to make offers there. I feel like that when we start the school year, they will be in good shape. On the custodial side, we don't have any vacancies, which is unusual for us, so I'm not going to look at the change. On the maintenance side, we've got 4 vacancies right now that we're actively recruiting for. Those are the biggest ones that I can think of, going off. I can gladly give you a detailed report. I'll email it to you tomorrow. That'll show you by department and by school, the positions that are vacant right now.
Right. Also, how many, have we filled all of our principal positions and assistant principal positions?
That'll be discussed and closed.
Mr. Young?
On the topic of principals, I just wanted to invite all my colleagues, if you haven't already met our new leader over at Lucille Brown Middle School, specifically Dr. Stacy Gaines will lead the IB Middle Program. Really grateful for her and the terrific work Dr. Leonard and his team did in finding her, and she's already off to a terrific start, and had a nearly standing room on the crowd the other evening for a meet and greet. So kudos to Dr. Leonard and his team as it relates to Dr. Stacy Gaines and the silver.
Ms. Liz Erb?
Can you talk about how's the pipeline for the 115 teachers? Like, where are we at? What are we doing? How can we support?
We're tracking that every single. Well, a lot of board members have given us substantial leads, and we appreciate that because we've been able to follow up with those leads and make a number of hires from those leads. So it's really all of us working together as one. As we tell the employees, as one, we can overcome anything. So it's where board members, community, even Mr. Bourne gave me a lead. So we just take any and all leads we get, responding to people's emails, responding to phone calls, just following up on everything we can, making certain that we're not leaving any stone unturned. That's how we're going to do it between now and September 5th. And everybody's working very diligently to try to get that in place. So on the HR, you've got in front of you the nomination of 77 employees for HR actions for approval, the change of contract of 51, the resignation of 6, the retirement of 2, returning from leave of 2, furlough of 1, the death of 1. I ask for the approval of that with the one exception. I'd like to pull from the addendum item number 5 and discuss that in close, please. But everything else, recommend approval.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Young?
I would move that we approve the HR actions as amended, and along with the addendum as amended.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Young and seconded by Ms. On to approve HR action, including the addendum as amended. Any discussion? Call the question.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Motion passes 6-0. The next item is 5.05. Receive for action school board travel and district activity request. I have one from Ms. Owen to contribute to the 9th District Back to School Rally, $500.
A motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Cosby and seconded by Ms. Mills Earl to receive action for the district activity request for the 9th district. Any discussion? Or question?
Ms. Winsor,
Yes.
Tina,
Abstain.
Ms. Cosby,
Yes.
Ms. Owen,
Yes.
Dr. Sabine,
Yes.
Ms. Petty.
Yes.
Motion passes 5 yeas, 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Next item.
The next item is other informational items, and it is 6.01, receive an update on the memorandum of understanding with the Virginia Department of Education, and this is just being distributed to you for your review at this time.
So also want to inform board members that this will be added, uploaded to board doc. MOU has been signed by Mr. Franz and myself.
So this is the one that passed.
Yes, ma'am.
So this will be uploaded.
This one has all the changes that was discussed at the second reading. They were all incorporated and we verified everything.
Thank you. Next item.
The next item is item 7, new business.
Do not have any at this time.
Your next item is closed.
Madam Chair, pursuant to Personnel Section 2.2-3711, subsection A, section 1, Code of Virginia 1950 is amended. I move the school board of the city of Richmond convene in closed session to discuss prospective candidates for employment and the assignment, promotion, performance, promotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of employees of the division, including consideration of the human resources agenda of this meeting.
Need a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Young and seconded by Ms. Owen. All in favor? Any opposed? We're now in close.
And board members, closed session is in your room